The building was large, but the entrance was quiet. Beside the door was a small gold plate. Only the hotel's name was engraved there. Inside was a narrow lobby with dim lights. At a counter in the back sat one staff member. His complexion was poor. His age was hard to tell. He wore layered white cloth. I checked in and asked where I could eat nearby. He said there was a restaurant on the lower floor and gestured behind me. There was a staircase there, he said. Food could also be ordered from the room terminal. To reach the room, I had to go outside once. I exited through a door opposite the entrance. An open-air corridor ran in a U-shape. The building stood on a slope. From this side, the lobby was not on the ground floor but somewhere in the middle, with several levels below it. I walked along the corridor, took an elevator up, and entered my room. Outside the window, trees grew thick. It was dark. I set down my bag and replied to a few work messages on the terminal. The visit to the client was scheduled for tomorrow morning. All that remained was to eat and sleep. When I passed through the lobby again, the pale staff member was assisting another guest. I went in the direction he had indicated earlier. A black metal spiral staircase led downward. At the bottom was a space better described as a cafeteria than a restaurant. There were no waiters. Round metal tables stood in rows. At the edge of the room was an order counter. Bottled drinks and prepared appetizers were placed on trays and paid for at the register. A young woman at the register showed me the main menu. Pasta, pizza, sandwiches, several kinds of light meals. I ordered a mushroom pizza. She said it would be brought to my table when ready. Besides me, there was only one other guest, a middle-aged man in a suit, and one family with a small boy. Soon the pizza arrived. It was not what I had imagined. On the plate was something like white meringue. The woman smiled and said it was the mushroom pizza. I cut into it with a knife. Beneath the meringue was a thin crust, like a cracker. I took a bite. It did taste of mushrooms. There was also something else herbal, perhaps in a faint sweetness. It was soft and dissolved quickly. Unfamiliar, but not bad. After finishing, I sipped my drink and looked around. The family was gone. An elderly woman now sat across from the man in the suit. On her lap was a white cat. It was plump and looked sleepy. At the back of the cafeteria, a corridor continued. Signs on the wall pointed to a fitness room, a laundry, a conference room. I had time, so I looked into the gym. It was small, with only a few machines. No one was there. When I returned, people were coming down the spiral staircase from the lobby, one after another. They walked down a corridor opposite the one I had taken earlier. Curious, I followed them. I began to hear music. It was live, not recorded. As I walked, the sound grew louder. I came out into a small hall. A young man sat playing a stringed instrument. A slightly older man played percussion. In front of a microphone stand stood a young woman, swaying as she kept time. Folding chairs were arranged in 3 rows. All were filled. People were standing behind them. I joined them. The woman began to sing. I did not understand the words. The sound was unfamiliar. I checked my terminal. It was an old dialect of Dalzini. You met someone at the end of summer. You walked along the pier and hummed a song. The seasons changed. You left. I am still singing. I put the terminal away and let the sound carry me. The melody was slow and old, but the performance felt modern. Now and then, words I could understand lingered in my ear. Winter. Rain. I remembered a lecture from my student days on classical literature. We had studied old Dalzini texts. I had forgotten most of the content, but I must have seen some of the original language, alongside the translation. Perhaps that memory remained. The singer's long, wavy hair moved as she sang. She wore something like blue overalls, embroidered with swirling patterns in many colors. The song ended. Applause rose. She said the next song had once been sung at harvest festivals. The percussionist shifted easily between instruments, setting rhythm beneath a low melody. The voice flowed on. Sitting diagonally in front of me was the elderly woman from the cafeteria. The cat was gone. Her lips moved slightly. She seemed to be singing along. A short melody repeated, changing its rise and fall little by little. Within it, a few words were clear. Hours. Red voice. A small voice. Grapes. Reaching.